Hurdle! Oh my goodness!
Right on to Milton. He chips it.
Bobby out with a shot. Upper corner, top shot.
Oh, what a goal!
Out to Reagan. He's out for game
What's going on, everybody? This is MASL Monday. It's the Chrome Dome brothers back at it once again. The Specs crew.
Yeah. We're adding our
today.
accessories. We're adding
We
to our
are.
accessories.
Alex and Phil. My bloody left eye just keeps acting up again, and if I had a contact to it, it's game over. So I'm tough enough to look at as it is. If I add a red eye to this broadcast, nobody's going to watch the darn thing. So, how you doing, brother? How was the weekend?
I got a red head. You have a red eye. I have a red head. We did a little family vacation.
You did. That's right. I was
in Mexico. It was fantastic. I have never done an all-inclusive before. I am now a pro all-inclusive kind of guy, which is wonderful. But tried to watch as much as I could while international. But, took the family on vacation. It's 100 inches of snow in central New York. So when that happens, when you hit the century mark, it's time to pull the trigger.
Get the heck out of Dodge.
Get the heck out of Dodge.
You're getting the snow. You're getting the snow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're getting the snow in Utica. I'm getting the rain in Vancouver. Our guest today is a man who gets sunshine pretty much all year round because it's our friend.
We had to bring in the heavyweights to help me out.
The man, the legend, Mr. Craig Elsten from the San Diego Sockers. What's going on, buddy?
You know what? Looking at this screen, I look entirely too similar to the two of you. I wish I wore a hat.
I don't think we've had three baldies plus glasses
with glasses
all season long. No, we haven't. So this is definitely people are going to have to adjust the glare on their sets. No question about it. How are things, Craig?
Outstanding, sun shining in America's finest city. Soccer's on a roll unlike any other, and playoffs coming to North County in less than a month. So it's getting pretty exciting.
To have you on.
The most wonderful time of the year. But it's, great week for San Diego. So we're going to go over all the games that, went down over the past week. And we start with a fantastic week for the Sockers, taking down St. Louis 6-3 Friday. Also taking down Kansas City on Sunday. That was a real litmus test for the Sockers as well. But take us through the weekend.
And Empire midweek too, right?
Empire midweek too as well. And Empire's been playing great lately, as we're going to get to in a moment. But just your thoughts on the way they played, and especially taking down the Comets in Kansas City.
I think important context within that as well. The second time that the Sockers made that Missouri trip. And the first time they got blitzed in Kansas City, and they needed overtime to win in St. Louis. Now, a little bit different situation this weekend with Kansas City being down in Chihuahua on Friday. It made it a lot more even in terms of fatigue and travel. But I thought going in that this would be a defining 2-week period for the San Diego Sockers. And so far, it's crystal clear, high definition for the Sockers. They get all 9 points. Their defense is locked in, and they now have a pretty unique opportunity to take control of the season and take a shot at the Supporters Shield by the end. But that's getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. One thing I will say before Phil jumps in is watching this game, the Sockers were just all business in this contest. Like it was a pretty dominant performance. But aside from the little Ruggles slide, I think it was, after one of the goals, even after most of the goals, there wasn't, child scores. It was like we came in here last time. We didn't get the result we wanted. They were all business this time, Craig, were they not?
And even considering that Boris Pardo unavailable, right? Didn't play on Friday. Apparently was a late scratch then. So they must have had a little concern about the injury that he took. He starts Sunday. He can't answer the call. Second quarter has to go out. Xavier Snare-Williams steps in, and the club really didn't lose a beat. And I think from San Diego's perspective, that's probably the biggest news of the weekend is you wonder, can you win a big game You know you could win a game with Xavier in net, but could you win a big game on the road with Xavier in net? And he came through twice this weekend, so pretty exciting from San Diego's perspective, I'd say.
Phil, what is your take? Sorry, what were you going to say?
To Craig's point too, every time, the Sockers really sort of lock it down, the defense leads the way. And I'm guilty of this on the show, talking about the offense, and waiting for them to score goals and pick it up. But in reality, the defense is going to lead the way for this Sockers team. It's probably the best defense in the league. And, they carried them. And that's the easiest way to describe that one. And they've, in my opinion, clinched one of those top 2 spots, which gives them the opportunity of rest, which I think is the most important thing come play.
So quick question here, guys. Let's keep this to maybe a minute, whoever wants to take it. What's going on with KC? Yeah, 2 very tough games, but of course the blowout against Milwaukee as well before that. As Chihuahua and San Diego separated themselves from KC at this point after what you've seen over the past couple of weeks, guys?
I think so. I think we've got ourselves a clear 2. I think Kansas City's 3. I still think they can be dangerous in the playoffs, right? Because the travel is mitigated somewhat, right? They just need to win 1 game. So they haven't shown us the opportunity to win these big games yet, but I don't count them out yet when we get to playoff time.
Let's talk about St. Louis, because since the trading Taiyu, they're surging right now. They moved into 8th spot, only by 1 point ahead of Tacoma. But, they're looking good. I mean, is this team better without Frank, do you think, guys? I'm not sure who wants to take this one, but Craig, you take that one because they seem to be gelling better as a team.
I don't think that should be read as a knock necessarily on Frank, as much as just a recognition of the fact that things weren't good in St. Louis, that there was a conflict that was going on, between Frank and management, head coach, ownership, same guy. There was a suspension, there was a return, but the trade obviously was a desire to move on. And a lot of times when you're in a conflicted clubhouse, regardless of sport, when you remove the conflict, that allows all the rows to start, oars to start rowing in the same direction. And I think we've seen that from an effort standpoint. Watching St. Louis, they're not the most talented club in the MASL, but I think they play with a lot of heart. Paolo's a good goalkeeper, and they've got a little bit of fight in them, particularly at home. I think they're a pretty decent club at home. So this may be partially a product of schedule, in terms of their success overall. But I think the bottom line, sometimes, whether it's a great player or not, sometimes just eliminating conflict allows a team to move forward.
Yeah. And James Thomas has been incredible for them. 10 of his 13 goals this year has been recent. So he's been able to step up.
SK's been phenomenal as well this season. Yeah. I'll tell you what, guys, why don't we save Baltimore or Harrisburg off the top of the next segment, because we got to take a quick break here, and then we'll get into some more soccer stuff, because of course we are talking to the San Diego expert, Craig Elsten, for MASL Monday. Coming back in just a moment. Welcome back to MASL Monday, folks. It's Alex Bastiavansky. It's Phil Levanco. It's our good buddy Craig Elsten from the San Diego Sockers. With the nice little
the voice of soccer in San Diego. That's what I call him.
Well,
he's not saying no.
I mean, listen, whatever you want to say that's nice, I'll listen.
Yeah.
So let's start off, guys. Let's do just to finish off some of the games from the weekend. Baltimore against Harrisburg. Harrisburg takes Baltimore down 9-4. Harrisburg, like Phil, your point was, that they always lose one in Harrisburg every year. To me, it's the way they lost this game, though. I mean, 9-4 against, and listen, I love Harrisburg, our good buddy Joey T and all the guys there, and they can surprise teams. I wasn't expecting a 9-4 surprise, though. And for a team that's got aspirations of winning a title the way the Baltimore does this season, they've lost 5 of their last 6. What was your take from this game, guys? And is Baltimore in trouble right now?
So my point overall is this. If Baltimore can still lock up the 4 spot, which they're still in, they're tied with Empire on 33 points, but they have a bunch more games to play. That's all that matters. The ends justify the means. So this is a missed opportunity, 100%. But if they can lock that 4 spot still, it's going to be okay.
What's your take, Craig?
This may not be a popular take, but one thing that I would love to see the MASL someday, some magical day, work towards is field uniformity. The fact that you have certain fields that are 60% the size of others, by sometimes much shorter, sometimes less wide, sometimes both, it creates an entirely different game. And as a result, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance to Baltimore fans. I feel that this year's Blast team is essentially a reflection of its arena and not of its overall ability within the league. They're 7-0 and dominant at home. On the road, they're 4-6, and they have lost some pretty ugly games. And guess what? They're not going to get to play at home in the playoffs. They're going to have to play on a full field out in San Diego, and that does not augur well for the Baltimore Blast going forward. So, Chihuahua has developed the biggest home field advantage maybe in the history of the sport with what they've got down there. And they are also just an above average team when they get out of their arena, and it changes things a lot. But for the Blast, playing at Towson and playing inside the basketball arena, it just creates a field size restriction that I think puts them in a difficult spot as a franchise, because they've got one style of play at home and they got a whole nother thing on the road.
Yeah. No, it's no question about it. It's quite the advantage when they're playing at home. Let's just do real quick on Utica here. I know, Phil, you did want to mention, though, they finally picked up a win without Kelvin. 7-5 over Harrisburg on Sunday. I'm trying to think, is that their first win this season without Kelvin in the lineup?
Yeah, it was the first time they've won without their number 9. You know, so they've got a lot of injuries in Utica. Kelvin is not available right now, and they need to pick up points. Let's be honest, right? They were sinking like a stone, so they pick up 3 points here. And, it's just they're trying to stem the tide until they get their number 9 back, if they get their number 9 back. Our buddy Joey did score his 300th career MASL point, though, in that game. So
congratulations, Joey T. Yeah. Empire, guys, surging at just the right time. They have won 5 of their last 6. Yes, Craig says, wow. They take down Tacoma in a game that meant a lot more to Tacoma than it did to Empire, but it just shows Empire is really going good right now. The Stars really needed this one, though. Guys, the Stars really needed this one. They've now sunk to 9th spot. They played the same amount of games as St. Louis, who's now in 8th. Who wants to jump in here, guys? But just talk about Empire's play and also what that's done at Tacoma.
Last year, Empire won 3 games. This year, they're tied for 4th in the league with 11 wins. They're beating teams on the road. The 2 games that they played at Front Wave against the Sockers were about as competitive as anybody has been to come into North County yet and fight San Diego. And Anua Obasi has introduced it's almost like bringing the zone defense into a league that only plays man-to-man, or bringing a knuckleball into a fastball league.
Or in hockey, pulling your goalie. That's, the closest thing, right? And playing with 6 players the entire time, like a power play.
Yeah, but is it that, or is it more of a New Jersey Devils center trap? Because they're clogging the middle, and the keeper most of the time is just hanging out at the wall. But he's just there as a space maker more than. But anyways, point is, hadn't been solved by the rest of the league. It's working. He's shaking things up. People are mad about it. They're like, well, what is this? What's this strategy? Like, it works. So,
it works.
Big ups to Obasi, who would personally right now get my vote for coach of the year.
I think we can all agree they might be, if not definitely one of the most entertaining teams to watch in the league with the players they've got and the system they play, because it's just such a crapshoot. I mean, when they're playing that game and they take massive risks, but if you're a fan, isn't that what you want to see? I mean, it's hugely entertaining no matter what team you're cheering for when Empire's playing.
But the game against Tacoma and the game against San Diego, those were grinds, and they're starting to become a team that's better than the sum of its parts, which is, to me, a coaching thing, right? It's not all Marco. They're getting contributions from everywhere now. So they're really starting to believe in the system, whatever that system is. and we probably talk about it too much. So whatever it is, they're really starting to believe in it.
Yeah.
And to me, they're the most dangerous of that 4 to 8. No one wants to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly, maybe 1 minute, guys, talk about Dallas keeping their playoff hopes alive. They took down Texas 9-6, which is an accomplishment because as we've been seeing, the Outlaws have not been backing down. That Dallas Derby, they've been taking down the Sidekicks. So it was a huge win for Dallas, guys.
Yeah, I think that Tacoma's going to get that 8 spot when it's all said and done, but they're not in there right now. I don't think Dallas is going to make it. They shed a lot of players off their roster at the trade deadline, but whenever those two teams specifically get together, anything can happen.
Yeah, there were only
I'll take St. Louis in that one just to be different.
Yeah,
I think St. Louis is going to sneak in. Yeah, for sure.
Dallas right now 3 points out, and they played one less game too. One more game than St. Louis as well. So yeah, going to be a tough run, but still a possibility at this point. We are going to take a quick break and talk about the Sockers when we return in just a moment on MASL Monday. Welcome back to MASL Monday, everybody. Alex Bastiavansky, Phil Levanco, and our good friend Craig Elsten from the San Diego Sockers is going to fill us in now on the Sockers and what's been working this season. And once again, to right up, always, number 1 or number 2 in the standings, just perennial powerhouses. But this year, it's been going especially well this year so far, Craig. 6 straight wins. 8 of the last 10, new arena this season, brand spanking new arena there at Front Wave. But, what's been clicking for San Diego this year? Give us your thoughts.
Well, the funny thing is it's not the offense, which is what you would expect when you look at the roster. There's probably 10 guys on the Sockers roster that if they were the sole focus of a different club in the MASL would be mortal locks for 40-point seasons, year in and year out. And these guys will play to 20 points, 24 points, 26 points because they do so within the context of a team that possesses the ball, that is very deliberate, that recognizes its age as an older club, slows the game down. And what's clicked for San Diego is their defense, period. It's a team that's committed to defense. It's a team that has good defensive players at all 3 positions. I think truly underrated guys on this year's Sockers team are Ben Raymond and Taylor Walter Bond, who are players that bring physicality and defense. Bond to the forward position. Raymond is another big body that's just calm and composed. It's like cloning Cardenas almost in terms of just having another super calm, super steady player back there. Now you add Quintana, who's just huge. He's gigantic, as another guy in the back. Serta's the smallest guy, but he's like a terrier biting you on the ankles all the time. This team is really, really good defensively. But I just, in saying that, guys like Gabi Costa are coming back and winning the ball all the time. Charlie going back and winning the ball all the time. These are players known for their offense and not their defense. And they have turned in strong defensive contributions. So up and down the floor, the Sockers are defending. That makes life a lot easier. And just take a look at the shot numbers, guys. San Diego's goalkeepers face the fewest shots in the league.
So you've name-checked basically everyone on the team, which is totally fine. But I want to ask you specifically, I'm going to put your feet to the fire a little bit and ask you who's impressed you so far the most this year.
I think Tavoy is playing the 9 role spectacularly this year, just in terms of being a player to attack and his ability to turn and get a shot away. He's probably the fastest at the league. Tayu used to be he's still great, but I think Tavoy is probably right there. And then, I did mention Charlie Gonzalez. He leads the club in points. He's tied for the league lead in assists coming into the weekend, but he's played a lot more 2 ways. He started off the year not 100% physically. He's fought all the way through that. He's really been a workhorse for the club. So those are 2 guys that I would point to and say they've had really, really good years.
What about the Texas connection that's come over and Morales and Mendez? Sorry, and I'm blanking on I know Costa was with Empire. Did Costa also spend time He didn't, did he? No, it's only Mendez and but I mean, coming over this season, those two, Craig, they've brought some youth as well. We talked about the team getting a bit older, but they've added certainly a shot of adrenaline and a bit of youth to that squad.
Yeah, I think Sebastian Mendez has fit right in. He was ice cold at the beginning of the year. He got red hot for a short stretch, kind of cooled off, picked up another goal. But he's somebody who kind of is a sniper on the team in terms of, he's out there. He's great at winning the ball back. He adds speed on the flank, and then he's always trying to find a spot to get that left foot open. And if he does, he's pretty lethal with it. So he's another kid that would absolutely be a lock to get 35, 40 points if he was playing, full shifts, power plays, and whatnot. But he's sacrificed to be a good player. Now, Luis Morales is one of the best 1v1 attackers in the MASL. He's been in and out of the lineup due to, departure for Kings League and also injury. And I've never really felt like he's integrated into the attack. He's integrated into the clubhouse and into the team in great ways. Wonderful teammate. But into the attack, it always kind of feels like they throw it out there to Isolation Island when they get it to Morales, and we'll see what happens. So I'll be curious to see, is he available for the playoffs? And if he is there a little bit more in the flow when the ball gets to him?
And look
Phil,
out,
we're
it
almost
starts to click. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got about just under 2 minutes left. So let's set up the game on Friday.
Yep.
Which is truly the game of the weekend, guys. We've got San Diego in Chihuahua, 10 p.m. Eastern. I always love these late start times they've listed on the website here, but 10 p.m. Eastern. But the last time that the Sockers won in Chihuahua, as we know, which is just so difficult to win, was 2022-23 season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's, it's Corner Sport is that fortress. Set up this game for us, Craig, and what it would mean to the Sockers and their confidence to finally win a game in Chihuahua before the playoffs.
Plain and simple, if the Sockers win, they have a garden path to the number 1 seed. They'll be playing basically the teams on the West Coast that they know very well down the stretch to get to the number 1 seed. So if the Sockers win on Friday, you can almost give them the shield. I'm not saying give it to them, but they've got the garden path. Here's the thing to keep in mind for this game very briefly. Like so many teams, the Sockers have players who can't make it across the border to Mexico. Guys like Charlie and Leo can't play down there. So you'll see players who have been not playing for the team all year playing again, like Brandon Escoto, Ismael Rojo, great stars in this league that's unfortunately, due to the visas, are not being allowed to play north of the border. Pollo, another one. So it's this weird, almost like rent a team last time when the Sockers went down there. Yeah. And I'm really, John Ponce was on there. It was like, who are all these guys? Did they give out, did they put stickers on the front of their jerseys as well as the back? Yeah. So I'm really curious if chemistry develops or if that's even possible when you add so many guys to a lineup for one game. So Chihuahua's the heavy favorite, man. They're always the heavy favorite on that gray carpet.
Can't wait to see. It's going to be must-see TV, folks. Definitely, there's a lot of great games going down this weekend, but that's definitely going to be the headliner for sure. Yeah. Craig, appreciate you coming on, buddy. It's been a couple of years, man, so really good to see you again. We will do this later in the season as we go through. Producer Phil, once again, love the redhead. Thanks a lot. Glad you had a good time in Mexico.
Mildly burned.
Mildly burned is there. I love to have that problem myself with all the rain we're getting here. But listen, thanks, boys, so much for joining. Thank you for watching, folks. We will see you next week on MASL Monday.